Our story begins in the school hallway where two girls are talking. The one on the left is complaining about her own father because he insists she study more. The other just listens and laughs at everything. The person walking past them is our protagonist. As he walks by, he glances at the girls' backs and thinks, there's only one reason girls dress like this, even if the uniforms are tight and uncomfortable, so everyone can get a good look at their bodies. The reason they keep dressing so provocatively is because they want guys to look at them. Suddenly, a guy approaches the two girls, inviting them to karaoke later. One of the girls says she doesn't have money. He gets closer and replies that he'd be happy to pay for everything. The girl gets excited, and the protagonist sadly continues. I'm 100% sure of this, but they only want cool guys to look at them, and I'm not one of them. Then he looks at two other girls and comments that he wishes he were one of the cool guys. One of the girls notices the protagonist was looking. The other, noticing her reaction, asks if she knows him. She replies that no, she just saw him looking at her strangely. The short-haired girl comments, he's a loser. This is so embarrassing. I was really hopeful when I came to this school. I thought I'd finally get a girlfriend because there are so many hot girls around here, so many. He sits down completely disheartened and continues. I also wanted to have a girlfriend. Suddenly, a girl approaches him and calls his name. He looks and checks carefully to see who it is. It's a blonde girl sucking on a lollipop. He looks at her dumbfounded, and then she takes the lollipop out of her mouth and comments, your face is really funny right now. Is it because you don't want to talk to me? The protagonist replies that it's not that and is a little confused why she came to talk to him. This is Blossom, the prettiest girl in the class. I mean, in the school. She had never spoken to me before. Blossom then looks around and then approaches him. Matthew thinks, she smells good. You're living alone now, aren't you? Matthew, confused, asks how she knows that. She replies that she heard around. So you really are living alone? The nervous protagonist replies that his parents work in the city and thinks to himself, she's so beautiful. Blossom then thinks for a moment and asks, hey, can I go to your place tonight? Matthew has a slight delay and his heart races. Not understanding his reaction, she asks if he doesn't want her to come. The protagonist stutters that it's not that. Blossom, blushing, asks if that means yes. He says nothing, just nods his head. She asks for his number, and as she leaves, says, don't forget to send me your address. I'll be there around 9. Matthew just watches her leave, still unable to believe she's actually coming to his house. Soon after, the bell rings. The protagonist, on his way home, is still thinking about Blossom. It's not like we're close. Maybe it's because I'm not like the other guys who always hang out and go partying. She must have fallen for my cool songwriter personality and my mysterious charm. He starts to sweat and takes a dry gulp, not believing his own words. Just think about it. Many guys tried to ask her out before, but she rejected all of them. It's because she was in love with me. Arriving home, he's still got Blossom on his mind, who's arriving later tonight. He's all excited, thinking today's the big day to drown the goose. Without wasting time, he rushes to his room and tidies up the throne. He goes to the bathroom, washes his precious, and then a message arrives. He looks, and it's Blossom. She's almost there, coming up the stairs. The big boy waits in front of the door, jumping with joy. The doorbell rings. It's her. He opens the door with the greatest joy in the world, his heart racing. Blossom is there with a lollipop and greets him. Matthew greets her, excited that she actually came. However, when he looks down, he notices something. She has a suitcase next to her, a backpack on her back, implying that she's obviously left home. The two stare at each other. Bloom, taking the initiative, asks if she can come in. The protagonist replies, yes, of course, come in. Seeing her prepare to carry her things, he steps forward and offers to help. He takes everything and invites her in. As she passes through the door, she takes off her sneakers, and Matthew can't take his eyes off her. Inside the house, Matthew, all excited, comments that it doesn't matter if she ran away from home. The mere fact that she's there in his house is amazing. Blossom observes the surroundings and suddenly rushes to the window and closes the curtains. The protagonist doesn't understand but keeps his eyes on her. She notices his fixed gaze and turns around, making Matthew realize he slipped up, but Blossom doesn't seem to care and asks where the bathroom is. He replies, still half unbelieving that she's actually going to take a bath there, which implies she'll be spending the night at his house. He thinks, Blossom is taking a bath. On the other side of this door, washing every bit of her body. Unbelieving, he stands at the door in a trance. When Blossom suddenly approaches, he gets startled and quietly slips away to sit on the sofa. She finally comes out of the bath and approaches the sofa in silence. Matthew can't stop looking at her. Blossom notices, and he quickly turns away, pretending not to look. She walks to the sofa, sits down, picks up the remote, and turns on the TV. She's definitely here to spend the night, and the fact that she's sitting dressed like this means it's okay for me to keep looking at her, right? Suddenly, she calls him. Nervously, he asks what's up and wonders if she saw him observing her, but she actually just asks if he has anything to drink. Matthew goes to the kitchen to get something. On TV, a Paraguayan Superman commercial is playing. As she watches, she drinks coffee with milk. In his thoughts, Matthew comments that he honestly wants to ask several questions. Did she really run away from home? Is she just here because he lives alone? Whatever, he's sure she has a good reason. The important thing now is that he's sitting on the sofa with a beautiful girl for the first time in his life. On the show, the desperate father asks his daughter for help because a fish got into his clothes. Seeing that, Matthew can't help but laugh. He looks at Blossom, but she remains serious. She then gets up from the sofa and says, "I'm going to bed. Which room can I use?" The protagonist points to his old parents' room. Blossom enters, and Matthew says that if she needs anything, just let him know. Before he can leave, Blossom calls out, asking if he's not angry. Matthew, confused, replies naturally, not understanding the reason for the question. "I wanted to know why he would be angry. I came into your house even though we're not that close. Took a bath, watched TV in your living room. You weren't angry about that." He thinks for a moment and replies that no, it's fine. The two stare at each other for a few seconds. Then she breaks the silence. "That's nice of you." He gets excited, and she wishes him goodnight. Matthew also nods and leaves all excited, but soon something comes to his mind. Wait, is that all? Is Blossom really here just because she needed a place to sleep? What if she was expecting something more than that? I'm a man, you know. It doesn't make sense for her to enter a guy's house like that as if it were the most normal thing in the world. He stares intently and thinks, let's find out if Blossom is waiting for me in the room. She's already lying in bed. Outside, the protagonist is about to open the door. A woman came to spend the night at a guy's house. She must be expecting something. Otherwise, she would have locked the door. But if she really was expecting me to come in, that door would be open. Inside the room, Blossom hears the noise and opens her eyes. Matthew, nervously, uses his upper head, concluding that she didn't seem to be expecting anything. What if I open this door and she thinks I'm a bad person? He then gives up and leaves. Blossom inside calms down and goes back to sleep. The night passes. The next morning, our protagonist wakes up on the floor looking like a zombie with some strange papers next to him. He leaves the room and bumps into Blossom, who is drying her hair in the middle of the living room. He blushes, observes her body, neck, front, back. His heart races and he turns around. Blossom notices and apologizes, explaining that she couldn't find another outlet for the hairdryer. Matthew, still nervous, says it's fine and lets her finish, quickly returning to his room. Inside, he thinks she's very beautiful. Maybe I'll have a heart attack, and he wonders if his life will be like this from now on. Some time passes, and the two sit down for breakfast. Blossom is about to say something, and Matthew nervously wonders if she won't like the food. However, she says, I haven't had breakfast in so long. The protagonist is happy, and as they eat, he gets thoughtful. We're having breakfast together. We're leaving the house together, going to school together. He watches her with a slight smile on his face. Something in the air feels different. It's not the same as yesterday. It's like the world is totally new now. He blushes, looking away for a moment. A question arises in his mind. What will everyone think when they see them together like that? He imagines the other guys, all the ones who have a crush on Blossom, looking at him with envy. For a moment, it even seems like a victory. But then a thought comes to his mind, like an alert. Is this really a good thing after all? After all, she's liked by quite a few, and some of them are among the scariest bullies at school. Matthew slows his pace to distance himself from her. Something inside him warns him that it will be very bad if they are seen together. As they get close to the school, a guy is waiting for Blossom. He angrily asks why she ignored his message last night. He'd been waiting for her at the karaoke bar. This is Sid, the biggest freshman bully. Blossom replies that she doesn't like going because there are too many impatient people. He mentions she's gone before and says if it's because of guys hitting on her, he'll handle them himself. Blossom retorts that he'll just end up fighting them, and that scares her. Sid gets mad, and Matthew walks right past, trying to act casual. The tension is thick, still persistent. Sid asks for at least one chance, claiming he did nothing wrong and just wants to go out with her. Bloom stares at him for a moment, and instead of answering, turns her gaze to Matthew. She calls his name, and when he turns, consumed by anger, Matthew knows this is all messed up and won't end well. At school, the basketball game is on. The ball goes flying, and one of the students blames Matthew for not catching it, ordering him to retrieve it. As he goes after it, he grumbles about it being team game day since he's terrible at sports and the guys hate when he plays. When he gets the ball back, he sees Blossom feeding a rabbit. She is smiling, clearly fond of it. Matthew wonders if he can talk to her, but quickly remembers that bully and gives up. His teammates call him, demanding the ball back. Blossom sees and watches him thoughtfully for a while. On the court, the players are swearing at one of their own for missing a shot, insulting him relentlessly. The protagonist hopes he won't be the next to get the pass. Suddenly, Matthew overhears two girls talking about Blossom. One recalls inviting her out once, saying, "Blossom was pretty annoying back then." The other wonders why guys like her, claiming she's not even that pretty. The first girl replies that maybe it's because she seems easy. The other agrees. Matthew wonders why girls gossip so much. They don't even really know her. They continue, saying they bet Blossom works at a bar and heard she goes out with older men for money. One of them scoffs, "She must be a real slut." The protagonist, in his thoughts, comments that he doesn't know anything about Blossom either. Suddenly, a guy yells for some idiot to get the ball, and of course, he's talking about the protagonist. By the time he sees the ball coming, it's too late to dodge, and it hits him squarely in the face. In the classroom, Matthew's face is completely red from the impact. He looks at Blossom, hoping she'd at least ask if he was okay. He thinks for a moment and decides to go to the bathroom. Outside, he runs right into Sid, who calls him. Matthew immediately tenses up, and Sid orders him to follow. The protagonist breaks into a cold sweat. His worst fear is coming true. He casts one last look at Blossom, but Sid, impatient, repeats the command. With no choice, Matthew follows. And the two go to an isolated spot. Sid gives him a light punch and asks why he's been coming to school with Blossom. Matthew, startled, replies that it's for no reason, they just happen to be in the same class. Sid sighs, and the protagonist wonders if everything's truly okay. But no, it's not okay. The bully's mood suddenly shifts, and he angrily accuses Matthew of laughing at him that morning. Matthew, confused and nervous, tries to explain that he would never do that he certainly wasn't laughing at him. From the bully's look, this is just an excuse to start trouble. He insists he saw Matthew laughing and calls him a faggot. Matthew tries to de-escalate the situation, but soon finds himself being beaten, little by little, until he's completely cornered and powerless. Desperate, he tries to understand why this is happening. It made no sense why Sid kept insisting he was laughing. Was it because of his expression? Maybe his mouth just looked that way, but still. Suddenly, someone appears. It's Blossom. Out of breath, Matthew is embarrassed that she saw him in that situation. The two stare at each other for a few seconds until Sid breaks the silence. "Hey, what are you doing with this guy? Do you like this idiot or something?" Blossom stares at him and replies, "Yes, I like him more than a loser like you." Sid asks what she just said, and she repeats, "I said I like him more than some loser like you." The bully says nothing, turns his face, and slaps Matthew, indignant. As he assaults him, he asks if that's what he really heard, if Matthew really thought he was a loser, if he, Sid, was more of a loser than Matthew. Blossom then steps forward, and when Sid is about to hit again, she positions herself in front of Matthew. "You think hitting people is cool, don't you?" Sid stops, panting, and Blossom continues. "The truth is, you're doing this because you don't know how to deal with rejection. That's what makes you so pathetic, idiot." He gets furious, and she calls Matthew to leave, taking his hand. Matthew blushes completely, walking away, leaving the idiot behind. Sid, furious, kicks the wall, while the protagonist walks happily, holding Blossom's hand, thinking to himself how soft it is. He remembers what she said, that she likes him more than Sid, and can barely believe it. He has a strange expression, faithfully believing that she really likes him. Blossom then lets go of his hand, pauses for a moment, and apologizes. Matthew replies, "Oh, it's fine. I'm great, really. I don't care much about it." Blossom says nothing and runs off. "Oh, right, I guess she just said that to provoke Sid, didn't she? After all, I'm a real loser." But then a doubt arose. What was she doing at his house? He doesn't know. But he thinks this was the first time he held a girl's hand. The bell rings. Matthew gets ready and wonders if the two will go home together since the guys might bother them. He looks ahead and sees Blossom calling him to go. He gets excited. As they leave, students can't take their eyes off them. On the street, it's the same thing. Everyone looks at Blossom and wonders if she's a model or something. They can't believe she's with a guy like Matthew. The protagonist, in thought, comments that he didn't notice these stares in the morning. That's because they're jealous. Jealous of me for walking around with such a beautiful and attractive girl. If Blossom really liked me, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. Blossom then stops and calls him. She points to the supermarket. Matthew doesn't quite understand, but they go in. Blossom tries to choose something, while Matthew can't take his eyes off her. She asks, "You like pork ribs, right?" Matthew gets confused and asks how she knows that. She stays silent, turns, and replies that he looks like he does. The protagonist wonders what she meant by that. As he watches Blossom choose everything, Matthew thinks, "This feels kind of like we're married or something." Suddenly, a guy appears and asks to sample some meat. He comments, "You two look so cute together. Is he your boyfriend?" Matthew immediately gets anxious, wondering what she'll say. "Blossom really came to my house. Does she like me?" Blossom finishes eating and smiles. She says nothing, but the smile alone is a victory for the protagonist. She calls him to go to the checkout. The cashier says it's 130 reais. Bloom looks at Matthew, then goes ahead. The protagonist agrees, and as he pulls out his card, he wonders if he'll pay for everything himself. Blossom then bends down and asks him to wait a second. To Matthew's dismay, she just grabs a bunch of lollipops. In his thoughts, he comments that he's broke today, but he still has a little money saved. They leave. On the way back, as they walk, Matthew is thoughtful. "Man, I really shouldn't be spending all this money in a single day, but I guess Blossom doesn't have any money since she ran away from home." Meanwhile, Blossom twirls the lollipop on her tongue. The protagonist looks, and she notices, staring back. She takes another lollipop, calls him, and puts the candy in his mouth. Matthew can't believe it and ends up falling back a little, watching Blossom. He comments in thought, "I guess that was worth it." Back home, Blossom prepares to cook and asks Matthew to watch TV, saying she'll be done quickly. He agrees, still unable to believe she's actually going to make dinner. Blossom ties up her hair, determined. Matthew just watches. "Just in case something happens, right?" She starts. "It's really hot," she says, then pulls at her tie and takes a deep breath. Matthew, who's been dry for a long time, takes a hard swallow. Blossom calls him. He's a little startled and asks what's up. Without quite knowing how to explain, she asks where that big plate is. "Something like this," she gestures, trying to describe it. Matthew understands immediately. It's the plate his mother always uses. He goes and shows her where it is, and Blossom starts setting up dinner. He watches her and wonders how she knew there was a plate like that in his house, but then quickly dismisses it as silly on his part. Who wouldn't have a plate like that at home? The food is on the table, everything organized. The two sit down, and silence takes over. Blossom asks him to eat. He starts and, in thought, comments on how good it is. Blossom asks if he liked it. Matthew, devouring the food, replies that yes, it's really good. Blossom watches him eat and smiles, then immediately looks away towards the window, observing a building outside, and looks a little sad. They finish eating, and Matthew can't stop praising the food. Blossom, a little shy, thanks him. He notices she's embarrassed and finds it cute. He gets excited and comments that the food was better than any food his mother used to make. She always put too much salt, so he was quite surprised. "You don't seem like someone who could cook." After hearing this, she stares at him and asks, "So what do I seem like? What kind of person do I seem like?" Matthew realized he'd said too much and that he's now in quite a predicament. He remembers when two students commented on her, saying that Blossom was one of those wild girls who might seem normal at school but goes crazy when she's alone. "Do you think she'd let me do it if I asked nicely?" one of them said, laughing. Matthew walked past them and heard everything. Looking at Blossom, he thought, someone who acts all proper on the outside, but inside is needy and confused. Back in the present, the protagonist tries to defuse the situation and awkwardly comments, "Well, you know how some people just seem to have an aura of being good in the kitchen? That's what I meant." Blossom stares at him in silence. He starts to sweat. Then she stands up and says she's going to take a bath, asking him to take care of the dishes. Matthew just agrees. Some time passes, and Matthew is washing the dishes. He looks at Blossom, who is already bathed and is watching TV. She's not talking to me, but come to think of it, she's never really spoken openly with me. It's hard to try to understand what she's thinking because she always has the same expression. Suddenly, Blossom falls asleep and the remote slips from her hand. Matthew observes her and, confused, wonders what kind of person Blossom really is. The night passes, and the next morning, a boy cycles calmly while listening to music. Suddenly, something catches his attention, and he stops. With his camera hanging around his neck, he approaches a tree and starts photographing it. Soon after, someone calls his name, Sam. Two girls approach, smiling, and ask him to take a picture of them. Sam raises his camera and agrees. The two pose, and the one on the left subtly lifts her skirt a little. Sam notices and ends up choosing to photograph a plant next to them instead. Curious, one of the girls asks how the photo turned out and asks to see it. Sam gives an awkward smile and says the camera ran out of memory, promising to take the photo next time. Then he says goodbye and leaves, leaving the two behind. The scene cuts to Blossom and Matthew. The protagonist wonders what she's thinking. Did she forget what happened before? Sam appears, calling for Matthew. He notices and greets him. Sam comments that it's hard to find him at school and says he wanted to meet up at his house to play something, like in the old days. Matthew asks if he's not busy with cram school. Sam changes the subject and asks who the girl next to him is. Matthew introduces them. This is Sam, an old friend of mine, and this is Blossom. She's in my class. The two greet each other. They exchange glances, and Sam decides to go ahead. As they walk together, Blossom asks if Matthew is really close to that guy. He's known him since elementary school. Blossom gets thoughtful and comments that Sam is quite handsome. Upon hearing this, Matthew lowers his head a little, visibly dejected. At school, in Sam's classroom, two girls look out the window and see Blossom and Matthew arriving together. They comment that Blossom found a loser to hang out with. They bet she ran out of money and is taking advantage of Matthew. One of them disagrees. Actually, I think she's just messing with him. That's right, she's probably a slut behind closed doors. That explains why she's dragging this loser around. Sam feels offended that they're talking about his friend like that, but when he's about to say something, another person yells at them to shut up. It's Sid, who kicks a desk far away. Sam just watches. The girls don't like his attitude, but when he glares at them, they both fall silent. He gets up, cursing, and as he leaves, says he's gonna beat that asshole. Sam hears what he said and follows him. He's heading towards Matthew's classroom. Sam calls him and asks why he's so angry. Sid tells him to stay out of it, but Sam approaches and puts his arm around his shoulder. Sid, sweating coldly, asks what he's doing. Sam replies, I know what you're doing, all right? So if you touch my friend, you're dead. Sid starts trembling and gives up. Let's face it, I don't want anyone to know I got into a fight, and you don't want anyone to know you were humiliated. I say this because we both win, don't you think? The bully doesn't say a word. Sam asks what he's still doing there and tells him to disappear. He just agrees and leaves, completely stained with fear. For a moment, Sam remembers Blossom. This isn't good. Matthew shouldn't be dating someone like that. Classes end, and the two are walking back together. Blossom asks if he's really close to Sam. Matthew, a little awkwardly, replies that yes, they are close. I think Blossom is interested in Sam, just like all the other girls. Just like all the guys are interested in Blossom. I bet they really match. Coming back to reality, Blossom asks, so why are you so afraid of him? I thought he was just messing with you or something. Matthew says it's not that Sam is really a nice guy. He's smart, good at sports, and also, she interrupts him and shifts the focus to him. Matthew doesn't understand why Blossom wants to know what he's good at. Trying to remember something. He says he's not good at anything in particular. Blossom then stops, looks to the side, and calls him. She sees a guy playing baseball and, pointing, asks Matthew if he knows how to play that. He remains silent. On the field, Matthew is trying. The ball comes, he hits it, but makes a terrible face and lets out a strange sound. The ball goes far, but he's mortified by himself. However, Blossom likes it and applauds. Hey, you're really good at this. He gets excited and comments that he gets nervous when playing sports, but his father used to play baseball with him when he was younger. He then continues, still making weird faces and sounds, but fortunately, he's hitting all of them. When he stops, he's already tired. Blossom calls him, saying she also wants to try. She puts in the coin, grips the bat, and gets ready, commenting that the bat is heavy. Matthew, with a privileged view, looks away, blushing. The ball is thrown. Blossom tries, but misses. Matthew looks at her expression, with her tongue sticking out, and his heart races. Another ball comes, and again, she misses. That's already several misses. Matthew observes her. She's a little embarrassed. He then gives some tips, asking her to bend her knees and back a little more. Blossom listens and tries to replicate, but she's leaning too much, which will make it difficult to swing. She's not understanding anything, looks at the protagonist, and with a gesture, calls him closer. Matthew approaches and tries to pass on his knowledge, gesturing, asking her to bend her knees and straighten her waist. She tries, but It's still not right. Matthew then tries to put his hands on her waist, but starts trembling and, in thought, comments that, "This is too much." Blossom still doesn't understand and asks him to come closer. Matthew, stuttering, asks what she means by that. "My waist? Show me how it should be." Matthew can't believe it and wonders if he can really hold her waist. When a girl says it's okay for a guy to hold her waist, it probably means she really likes me. He then lightly touches her. His heart beats even faster, and as he's about to hold her, he looks at her and says, "Now it should be better." She nods her head, and following the flow of his previous thoughts, he comments to himself, "Maybe she doesn't even see me as a man." The ball comes. She prepares to swing. The sound of the hit echoes. The ball went into the net. She hit it. She smiles, and the protagonist thinks that maybe she doesn't see him as a man, but as someone who is just letting her stay at his house for a while. Blossom jumps with joy. Matthew watches her and, still thinking, concludes, "But who cares? After all, I'm the only one who can see her smile." On the way home, she feels her hands are numb. This happens when you practice too much. Despite that, she felt good when she heard the sound of the hit. "I felt like it echoed in my body. I was swinging so hard back there, I thought I was gonna pop my shoulder or something. It still hurts a little. Maybe next time I can." Matthew was impressed to see her so excited and talkative. However, realizing she got too excited, she tries to play it cool. She pulls out a lollipop and puts it in her mouth, returning to her usual state. Matthew notices she lost her composure and thinks, "Blossom isn't the cold or mean person she appears to be on the outside. And more importantly, she definitely doesn't hate me." Upon entering the building, Matthew asks what she wants for dinner, since he's cooking. Blossom insists on cooking again. After all, he taught her how to play baseball. Surprised, he agrees. This means he'll see her cooking again. As they approach the apartment, they see someone. It's Sam. He stares at Blossom and Matthew. Nervous, Matthew greets him and asks what he's doing there. "This is a problem. If he tells everyone that Blossom is at my house, I'm done." Sam raises his bag, smiling. Since Matthew still lives alone, he brought some food. He says he should have called, he waited forever. Matthew apologizes, explaining that he had to stop on the way. Now, what excuse should Matthew come up with? That she's there just for dinner? To do homework? To watch TV? Then Sam asks, "Anyway, you and Blossom, you two seem pretty close, and the way she's coming here," Matthew replies that yes, they both love playing video games. "She really wanted to borrow a game I was playing these days. Couldn't wait." Blossom stares at Sam. He maintains a firm gaze, perhaps not believing Matthew's excuse. However, he understands. Who would wait to buy a game when you have a friend to lend it to? Matthew is relieved that he believed him. Sam then says goodbye, saying he'll see him tomorrow. Matthew thanks him for coming. Before leaving, Sam looks at Blossom and wishes her to have fun playing. She just stares at him, and he leaves. Matthew notices her discomfort and wonders if she really doesn't want anyone to find out that she lives with a loser inside the house. As Matthew drinks water, he wonders if Sam noticed anything or not. I don't think he realized Blossom is staying at my place, but what if he starts suspecting? Blossom might end up leaving if that happens. He hears the sound of the door. It's Blossom, who just came out of the shower. Seeing her dressed that way, Matthew can't help but spit out all his water. Blossom stares at him, and he turns away, trying to act casual. She walks to the sofa. Matthew can't tear his eyes away. When she bends down to pick up the remote, he could have sworn she wasn't wearing anything underneath, but then he realizes that wasn't it. Still, that was enough to stimulate him. Blossom notices his gaze. He tries to act normal, but she keeps staring at him and asks if he's uncomfortable. Awkwardly, Matthew replies that no, he's fine, and tells her to make herself at home. I really like this a lot. He realizes he said more than he should have, but Blossom doesn't seem to mind, and comments that she wasn't talking about that exactly. Maybe Sam noticed something, and if he tells everyone, I can go anywhere if you want. Matthew calmly replies, "It's fine. I don't care anyway." Blossom stares at him, sits on the sofa, and turns on the TV, which again shows that program depicting the daily life of a happy family, buying clothes, traveling, strolling. Amidst the TV noise, Blossom thanks Matthew. He asks if she said something, but she remains silent, focused on the screen. Blossom really wants to keep staying at my place? I wish she'd stay here forever. The next morning, the two leave home together once again. In the background, Sam is just watching. At school, some girls are talking. Yesterday, they had gone to a club, but there were some old men there who kept asking, "Are you close to Blossom? Can you ask her to come here?" They were so pathetic it was incomprehensible. Is that bitch really that pretty? The red-haired girl named Mia tries to end the subject. Forget about it, she'll probably end up pregnant soon anyway. I'm sure it'll be someone else's problem. Instantly, the girl on the left comments that Mia really only cares about Sam. The other continues and questions if Mia truly believes such a handsome boy would be interested in her after finding out she smokes. In her view, Sam only cares about the goody two-shoes, the nerdy girls. Mia gets furious and asks if she wants to lose her tongue. The girl apologizes and Mia stands up, telling her to leave. In the hallway, they spot someone. It's Sam. Mia excitedly fixes herself up quickly and greets him. Sam reciprocates with a nod, but keeps walking. Still, she's happy just because he nodded. Suddenly, Sam stops, seems to think of something, turns around, and says he wants to ask something. She gets excited and asks what it is. Sam hesitates for a moment, gives up, and asks her to forget it. He then leaves. The three girls look at him and get excited, thinking he was nervous to ask her out. Mia gets thrilled and goes to the school bathroom. It was definitely love at first sight. She fixes herself up while singing, lifts her skirt as high as it goes, takes off her tie, confident that things will go well now. In Sam's classroom, he's leaving. Mia waits for him in front of the door and asks where he's going. Sam says he's going to the cafeteria. She asks if he's eaten yet. He replies no, that he was reading. Then suddenly, she approaches him. She was also going to the cafeteria and invites him to go together. Sam, feeling the pressure, accepts. After buying something, they go to a more secluded place. As Sam eats, he looks at her. She can't take her eyes off him. Uncomfortable, he asks if she has anything to say. Awkwardly, she replies yes. Why don't you speak first? You were going to tell me something earlier, weren't you? Sam apologizes, saying he thought it would be kind of random, especially since they're not even that close or anything. Mia, all excited, replies that it's fine, that they can get to know each other better later. Mion, you can tell me what it is. After so much insistence, Sam finally decides to speak. Mia is already super excited and full of hope. Do you know anything about the girl named Blossom from class 3? Mia, of course, didn't expect to hear that. And worse, it was something about Blossom. She asks how she would know. Sam, noticing her indignation, apologizes and says he thought he saw the two of them together earlier. She asks why he wants to know about Blossom. What's going on between them? Sam replies that it's nothing like that. I'm just curious about her, that's all. After hearing this, Mia becomes furious. The bell rings and she leaves. As she walks, she's consumed by pure hatred and sadness at the same time. That bitch at Matthew's house. Blossom finishes washing her clothes. Now it's his turn. As he puts the clothes in the machine, he thinks, I can't get enough of seeing her dressed like this. And if we're living together, it's because we're dating. Or maybe if this were our honeymoon, I'd follow her around and then The boy's dry spell is strong, but he thinks better and tries to get rid of those dirty thoughts. I have to stop thinking about this kind of thing. But then he sees something inside the machine, wonders what it is, and when he pulls it out, he realizes it's a pair of panties. At that instant, Blossom appears behind him. Matthew, all embarrassed, realizes she saw. Blossom just extends her hand and he returns it without saying a word. She, embarrassed and all cute, hides the item and apologizes. I'll be sure to pick up everything next time, and runs off. As he finishes washing his clothes, Matthew keeps thinking, even if she's not my girlfriend, even if this isn't our honeymoon, I'd be very happy if Blossom just stayed here. Suddenly, a cell phone rings. It's Blossom's, she answers. Matthew had even forgotten she had a cell phone. The person on the other end says something about tomorrow. The protagonist doesn't know who it is, but notices that Blossom has a somewhat sad look. She immediately enters the room. Matthew has never seen her like this. In the city, those girls are there, talking to a schoolgirl who lives in that neighborhood. They ask if she knows Blossom, and she replies yes. One of them approaches and asks if she saw her going out with older men. Stammering, she replies no. Mia, who is present, tells them to stop because they are scaring the girl. She asks them to speak more kindly. Mia approaches her and asks if she heard the rumors at school about Blossom wandering around that neighborhood and if she happened to see her there. The girl continues to deny it. Mia remains silent, approaches, and, already impatient, intimidates her, demanding she tell what she knows. Frightened, the girl says someone saw Blossom near Burger King. The three then decide to look for her there. That's where all the motels are, so that seems very likely. Mia agrees, certain that they will find her, and then will show the whole school that that girl is nothing more than someone who has unaimable thing for YouTube for money. The night passes, and the next morning, Matthew wakes up. This time, he doesn't have toilet paper next to him. He looks at his cell phone and realizes it's already noon. He played games all night. He leaves the room in a hurry to prepare breakfast for Blossom, but she has already prepared it. Matthew blushes, and Blossom greets him. He reciprocates. Blossom calls him to eat. He sits down and notices that there's only enough for him. He asks what she will eat. She's already getting ready to leave. Matthew asks if she's going anywhere specific. She awkwardly replies yes, that she's just going somewhere. Matthew asks where, but she says nothing, just looks away. Noticing, Matthew wishes her to have fun. Blossom doesn't reply, and as she leaves, comments, "I might not come back tonight." She then leaves, and Matthew stares at the door. Quote, "So that means there's some chance she'll come back, right?" Time passes. Matthew watches TV, fiddles with his cell phone, rests his head on the table, and thinks about Blossom. It must be because I've gotten used to living with Blossom, but it's really lonely without her. It's already 9 at night. Maybe I should send a message. He thinks that maybe it would be a bother, maybe she won't come back. He's already missing her. Where could she be now? He remembers the moment she received that call and then what those girls said about Blossom going out with old men for money. He considers that possibility but quickly dismisses it. No way, that's ridiculous. In the city, on that street where Mia was, Blossom is walking with someone older. At a karaoke bar, those 3 girls are there, they're exhausted from looking for Blossom. One of them turns on the music, but Mia tells her to turn it off. They're not there to sing. The girl obeys and turns it off. Mia then proposes that this time they split up, asking each of them to check all the motels again, passing by each one twice. One of the girls asks if they'll really find her just by doing that. Is it really true? What if it's just a rumor? Mia replies that this is not a problem, that they can search anyway. Then she asks the girl if her legs are hurting. The girl doesn't understand. Mia then stands up, approaches, and starts stepping on her legs, asking ironically if she's better with this massage. Desperate, the girl replies yes, that she's better now. The short-haired girl notices something, looks out the window, and sees Blossom with that guy. She calls Mia and tells her what she saw. The 3 quickly leave the karaoke bar, split up, and start looking for Blossom, searching everywhere nearby. But they don't find her. They lost sight of her. Mia sits on the sidewalk and gives up looking for her. The short-haired girl appears in front of her. Mia stares at her. She shakes her head and also didn't find Blossom. Mia lowers her head, indignant, and starts cursing nonstop. At that moment, the short-haired girl receives a message, probably from her friend. She asks Mia to look at her phone. It's a photo of Blossom walking with that guy and another of him giving her money. Mia smiles, and then the scene cuts to Matthew's house. He overslept. It's already 11 o'clock. He gets up and looks out the window. Blossom always kept the curtains closed. Even if Matthew opened them, she would always close them right after. Perhaps she doesn't like sunlight, Matthew thinks. Then looks down and sees Blossom. He gets excited and starts yelling, "She's back!" But then he notices something strange. She quickly glanced at the building next door and then quickly acted casual. Matthew looks there too, but sees nothing. There's nothing there. His phone on the table starts vibrating. Several messages arrive, and among them are photos of Blossom with that older man. Matthew greets her at the door, happy she's back, and asks how her day was. Blossom replies it was so-so. She enters, remembers something, stops, and pulls something out of her backpack. Money. She wants to hand it to Matthew. He stares at it while his phone won't stop vibrating. Matthew wonders if it's for him, and Blossom nods, confirming. Matthew asks if he should buy something with that money, but that's not it. The money is to help with the rent, since she's staying at his place. Matthew is surprised she didn't need to pay. However, Blossom insists, "You can't be too nice. People will take advantage of you." Matthew stays silent, and Blossom goes to the bathroom. Meanwhile, he remains seated on the sofa, thinking he needs to thank her later. Matthew wonders where she got that money. He loses patience because his phone won't stop vibrating and decides to check. It's a message in a group chat. Matthew wonders why they added him there. While Blossom showers, Matthew reads the messages. They're bad-mouthing her because of the photos, saying they already knew she was doing that and that whenever they sat next to her in class, they smelled fishy. Blossom continues in the shower. Matthew finally sees the photo and discovers the reason for all of this. The night passes, and the next morning, Blossom is watching TV. Matthew wonders if she's really doing that with older people. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. It's Sam. The two communicate only through glances, and Blossom hides. Matthew opens the door and greets his friend. Sam says nothing, not knowing how to start. He tries to speak but notices something. There are 2 pairs of sneakers at the entrance. He concludes that Blossom is there. Matthew tries to deny it, but she appears. Sam stares at her, and about to ask Matthew something, he gives up and says, "I was going to take some pictures by the river. Why don't you 2 come with me?" The 2 stare at him, and the scene cuts to the river. Blossom thinks about taking pictures of the roses, takes out her cell phone, and kneels, but her Samsung isn't the best. The camera is very bad. Sam approaches, notices she's having difficulty, and offers his camera, already set to automatic mode. She just needs to point in the right direction. Blossom can be carefree. He can use his own phone to take pictures. She thanks him, and Sam is happy. While she takes pictures, Sam talks to Matthew. "Hey Matthew, you saw those pictures from yesterday, didn't you? You knew." As the atmosphere grows tense, Blossom enjoys taking pictures with the camera in hand. She notices something strange about them and stares at the 2. Matthew tries to evade the question, but Sam already knows. Sam asks if Matthew told her. He doesn't respond. Sam sighs and, approaching Blossom, says he's gonna tell her everything. Matthew tries to stop him, but he has already decided. Sam gets Blossom's attention and shows her the photo that's being spread throughout the entire school, along with rumors that she's being paid to go out with older guys. Matthew expects her to say something, but Blossom remains silent. Sam then asks if the rumor is really true. Blossom stares at the 2 and replies, "It doesn't matter what I say. This is what everyone wants me to be." The 2 are speechless until Matthew decides to break the silence. I don't care what everyone thinks. I believe you." Upon hearing those words, Blossom feels more confident. Sam looks at Matthew. If his friend believes her, he believes her too. Blossom then denies it. "No, I don't do that kind of thing." At home, Matthew prepares to go to school while thinking about what Sam told Blossom. "We don't know what will happen when you go to school tomorrow. The only important thing to me is that Matthew can get hurt because of you. Just know that I won't sit back and watch while this happens." In the present, Matthew wonders if Blossom will actually be able to go to school, but she's already ready and calls him to go. Matthew agrees. On the way, he remains worried about the situation. She really isn't afraid to go to school? It doesn't seem like she cares what others think. But looking at her, Matthew notices a slight hesitation. When he looks forward again, he sees some students. Blossom stops and starts trembling. The protagonist feels he needs to do something to calm her down. She's very scared, so he gets Blossom's attention and decides to try something his father taught him. He takes a coin, moves his hands from side to side, and the coin disappears. Blossom doesn't react, remaining silent until the coin slips from Matthew's fingers and falls to the ground. Matthew thinks this won't cheer her up at all, but Blossom bends down to pick up the coin, smiles, and says, "You failed, so I'll keep this, okay?" Matthew is happy. That really managed to cheer her up a little. Now both need to move forward. There's no way this trick is enough, but Blossom still smiled at me. I will protect her no matter what. At school, everyone is talking about Blossom. They're wondering if she'll actually come to class today. It would be crazy of her. Some girls bet that all the guys in the class will start saving money from now on. They wonder how she manages to do that with an old man. Mia is sitting, listening to everything, and can't stop laughing. Time passes, and the teacher has already started class writing content on the board. Meanwhile, all the students keep their eyes glued to Blossom. Matthew can't do anything but watch. A girl starts to mock. "How disgusting." The teacher gets annoyed and asks who said that. Then another student comments, "Excuse me, I think someone here is pregnant." Everyone starts laughing. The teacher reprimands them, telling them to be quiet, saying it's not something to joke about. The students apologize. Matthew anxiously just observes the situation. The bell rings, and class ends. During the break, Blossom walks down the hallway, while students continue to stare at her. Then she notices something. Matthew is behind her, trying to play bodyguard, looking in all directions, attentive. Blossom just ignores him and walks on. Matthew thinks, "Who am I kidding? I can't protect Blossom from everyone. I didn't even say anything when everyone was laughing at her in class. I'm just a useless idiot who doesn't help at all. I know that, but I can't just leave her alone like this." Soon after, he notices something. Blossom is entering the bathroom. She just observes him from the corner of her eye. He knows he can't go in there. Matthew stops and decides to wait until she comes out. While he's sitting, waiting, some girls notice that Blossom went into the bathroom. They comment, laughing, that now all the bathrooms must stink and wonder if they should ask someone to disinfect them. Amidst the laughter, the 3 enter the bathroom. Matthew just listens. Soon, he hears one of them grabbing a hose, saying she's gonna start cleaning the bathroom. Matthew immediately understands what's about to happen. The protagonist decides to do something, but someone appears in front of him. It's Sid, who stares at him. The protagonist says nothing. Sid comments that he won't hit him, he just wants to ask one thing. I won't lie. I really like Blossom. That's why I didn't hit her when she annoyed me last time. But ultimately, she was just a prostitute. So how much did you pay her? Matthew replies, "You're wrong. Blossom isn't like that. Don't talk like you don't know who she really is." Sid loses patience and slaps him. Inside the bathroom, Blossom is being sprayed with water. Laughing, the girls wonder if there's anyone inside, but conclude that if there were, they surely would have said something by now. Outside, Sid pulls Matthew by the hair. The girls finally leave the bathroom, and as they walk away, Blossom also comes out, completely drenched. She looks to where Matthew was, but he's no longer there. Sid took him to an isolated spot. She looks down the hallway and doesn't see him. She gets worried and runs to look for him in the classroom, but he's not there either. Panting, she goes to look for him elsewhere and tries to call him, but Matthew doesn't answer. Sid is hitting him until he gets tired. While stomping on Matthew, Sid tells him to stop irritating him, but Matthew doesn't back down from what he said. Blossom would never do that kind of thing. Sid gets even angrier and doesn't stop. Blossom continues looking for him. The break ends. Blossom enters the classroom and sees her seat all messed up. She looks at Matthew's seat, and he hasn't arrived yet. Blossom panics. In another classroom, Sid arrives. The teacher asks where he was and why he took so long. He replies that he was in the bathroom and apologizes. Sam hears a student commenting that he saw Sid dragging some loser to the rooftop during break. He seemed angry. Sam looks at the bully, worried that it might have been Matthew. He continues writing as time passes. Blossom does the same. Both are worried. Time passes and class ends. Sam gets up from his desk and runs out. He finds Blossom in the hallway. She tells him that Matthew is missing. She doesn't know where he is. On the rooftop, Matthew is barely alive, unable to move properly. Sam already suspected he might be there, so he finds him along with Blossom. Matthew apologizes to the two. "I couldn't go back to the classroom like this. Maybe it's better to go home." Blossom says nothing. Sam sees his friend's condition, and hatred immediately grows. In the classroom, Mia is looking for Sam. He's not there, but soon, someone arrives. It's him. Mia gets excited. "Hey Sam, I just wanted to know if you needed a model for your..." Sam ignores Mia completely, walking past her into the classroom. He sees Sid, approaches him, and when Sid notices his gaze and is about to speak, Sam kicks him squarely in the face. As Sid falls, Sam grabs him, delivering another punch to the chin. Everyone watches in disbelief as Sam continues to beat Sid. He'd warned him before not to lay a hand on his friend. The scene shifts to Matthew's house. The poor guy is all bandaged up, and Blossom is tending to his wounds. "You should be better now," she says. Matthew thanks her for her help, and they share a look. Blossom puts things away and stands up without a word. Matthew wonders if Blossom is okay. She skipped class just to take care of him. Earlier, on the rooftop, Blossom had taken his arm and offered to take him to the infirmary, but Sam disagreed. What if the teachers start asking questions? They might discover Blossom ran away from home. You don't want your parents to worry, do you? The two remain silent, and Sam says goodbye, telling them he'll see them tomorrow. Back in the present, Matthew realizes Sam was very angry. Maybe he thinks all of this is Blossom's fault. Suddenly, Matthew hears something. He looks and sees Blossom ready to leave with all her bags packed. Matthew asks her to wait and questions where she's going. Blossom replies that she's going anywhere. Matthew doesn't understand why she's doing this. She suddenly responds, "You got hurt because of me. That's what happens to everyone when they're around me." Matthew doesn't understand. It wasn't her fault. She didn't hit him. Blossom doesn't stop, and Matthew calls her, taking her hand and asking her not to go. The bag falls, and Blossom looks at him, staring. However, she turns away again and tries to move forward. She's made up her mind. Yet, Matthew doesn't let go of her arm. He says, "Blossom, you don't have to go anywhere. That's why you came to my house, wasn't it? Stay here, this is our home." Hearing that, Blossom remembers her past, where she lived before. Blossom finally stops and asks, "Seriously? Can I really stay here?" Smiling, Matthew replies, "Of course, you can stay." Blossom can't hold back and starts crying non-stop, squeezing Matthew's hand. The next day at school, almost all the students were commenting on the fight between Sid and Sam. No one imagined Sam was that kind of person. He always projected the image of a studious student. No one knew the exact reason for the commotion. The beating was so severe that Sid didn't even show up at school. In the classroom, Sam appears and calls Blossom. She hesitates for a moment, glances at Matthew, then stands up and goes outside. She finds Sam, and the two stare at each other in silence. Blossom then takes the initiative, saying that Matthew is worried about him and feels guilty about the fight with Sid, but the real reason Matthew is in danger is Blossom's fault. She's sad, knowing he's right. Sam, without changing his expression, says, "You won't have to worry about Sid anymore, but who knows? Maybe someone else will start harassing you or Matthew." Blossom says nothing. If it were up to Sam alone, he would prevent Blossom from hanging out with Matthew, but he can't force her to stop being his friend. Besides, there seems to be a good reason for Blossom to be at Matthew's house. Sam has an idea that might work to resolve the situation. If I tell everyone that the stories about you were just rumors, maybe they'll believe me. Before Blossom can respond, Matthew appears. For him, this idea would only bring more problems for Sam. He asks his friend not to worry, because everyone will soon forget the rumor. Sam stares at the two. Blossom approaches Matthew and holds his arm, agreeing with what he said. Sam gives up, deciding not to get involved, and as he's about to leave, he asks them to talk to him if anything happens. Matthew looks at Blossom's hand. She also notices, lets go of his arm, and walks away, leaving Matthew blushing. As she's leaving, she calls him to walk back together. The boy agrees. Back home, Matthew thinks, "Blossom depends on me. This is our home. I want to take responsibility for what I said to her back then." Already in his second sleep, Matthew feels something bothering him. He tries to get comfortable in bed, but it's no use. He opens his eyes and sees Blossom lying next to him. He wonders what she's doing there. By her expression, she seems comfortable. Matthew tries to control himself. His heart races. "Don't worry, I'll make sure you have a place to stay." The night passes. Blossom wakes up, looks to the side, and doesn't see Matthew. Realizing he woke up early, she blushes and starts looking for him. She leaves the room and sees Matthew talking on the phone with his mother. He tells her he's waking up very early these days. Even today, he's already getting ready to go to school, all bandaged up. Matthew asks his mother not to worry, as he's taking care of himself. Blossom, listening to the conversation, doesn't take her eyes off him. Matthew's mother says, "All right, your father and I will be there tomorrow night, so you'd better be ready to prepare something tasty for dinner. We can't wait to see you again, son." Matthew looks at Blossom. That's a problem. His parents don't know she's living with him. Nervous, Matthew says that his parents will be there tomorrow because they got time off work. Blossom doesn't understand all that discomfort. Isn't he close to them? He should be happy to see them. However, that's not it. He is happy, but if they show up tomorrow, they'll end up finding out about Blossom. The two fall silent. Blossom asks him to hide her things because she's going to get some clothes and leave for a few days. Matthew asks where she's going. Blossom replies, "It's okay, I can take care of myself for a week." The scene cuts to the school rooftop. Mia is there with her friends. The girl with her hair tied up says that everyone saw Sid taking a loser to the rooftop, and that loser is always with Blossom, meaning she's saying that Sam beat up Sid because of Blossom. Mia asks if she's sure about this. "If it's not true, I'll rip your mouth off." The girl doesn't like hearing that, gets angry, and says, "Isn't it obvious? You were the one who told me to find out why Sam did that anyway." Before she finishes, Mia kicks her squarely in the stomach. The girl gasps for air. Mia grabs her hair, annoyed that she's been talking too much lately. Quote, "Do I look stupid to you? Are you sure? Because you definitely seem to think I'm an idiot." The girl apologizes, says she's very sorry, but Mia doesn't stop, slamming her head to the ground, thinking she's playing games with her. Mia then stops and walks away, but when the girl starts to get up, she turns back and kicks her again. The short-haired girl just watches. Mia leaves the place, cursing, completely crazy with ideas. The scene cuts to the city. Matthew is walking with Blossom. She stops, points to the side, and says she's going that way. Matthew asks if she'll really be okay. She just nods, and the two say goodbye. Blossom goes her way, and Matthew just watches her walk away, thinking, a little dejected, "I told her it was our home." Blossom stops in the middle of the street, looks ahead and sees a crowd of people. She doesn't know where to go, but thinks of something and moves forward. She manages to find a bathroom to change. She can't walk around like that in her school uniform. When she comes out, she goes to a land house. Time passes, and it's already night. While she's playing, a boy passes behind her, glances at her legs, and stares at her face. He recognizes her. It's Blossom, who studies at the same high school as him. He decides to tell his friend that he saw her and calls him over to talk to her. The friend doesn't understand. No one likes her at school. Why would we talk to her? The boy replies impatiently. Everyone says she has unaimable thing for YouTube for money, so maybe she'll agree if we pay. The two approach her. Blossom gets uncomfortable. They ask if she recognizes them. They've seen each other a few times at school. She just looks, doesn't answer, and goes back to her gameplay. One of them gets closer and asks how much it costs for her to do it with them. Blossom says they reek of losers and tells them to back off. Both get angry, saying that if money is the problem, they have it. She stands up and runs away. Outside, she runs around the shop, trying to escape, but one of them came out the other side. He appears and asks why she's running. The other calls her a slut and says they didn't do anything, claiming everyone at school knows she sleeps with anyone for money and that they're not asking for it for free. Blossom, panting, asks how much they have. The two get excited. She says, "It'll be 40,000 rays each." The happiness of the two quickly fades. They ask if she thinks she can play with them. "You're not that expensive. Who do you think you are, Mia?" Name with Cal and ends with Lifa. Blossom takes out her cell phone. The two immediately think she's calling the police and try to justify themselves, saying they didn't do anything wrong. She replies, "You know those third-year students who were expelled for fighting last year? I'm calling them now. I'm sure they'll be happy to see you too." The two are scared shitless. Blossom starts to say she has a couple of idiots behind her, but when she's about to say where she is, the two run away desperately. They shouldn't have talked to her. She leaves that place and runs down the street, feeling those stares on her again. She gets desperate, unable to get rid of that discomfort. She thinks of Matthew, stumbles, and falls on the asphalt. Sometime later, she's on a staircase with a scraped knee, putting on a bandage. Her hand is also all scraped. She doesn't know where to go now. Suddenly, someone calls her. She looks. It's Sam. He asks what she's doing there. Blossom doesn't know what to answer. Sam notices her injured knee. She stands up and says it's nothing. He immediately assumes she's angry to see him. As she's about to leave, she looks at the street and sees the crowd. That feeling of being watched doesn't let her move forward. Sam notices her discomfort and calls her. "I was going to grab something to eat now. Want to come with me?" The two then head out to eat. Blossom waits for Sam, who went to buy the food. When he returns, he hands her a hot dog. Blossom, already pulling out money, asks how much it cost. Sam tells her not to worry. Blossom thought he didn't like her. He replies that he really doesn't. She doesn't understand why he's buying her food then. He replies, "Because you look broke." Blossom didn't much like the words, but in fact, she had no money. Sam tells her not to mind. "Let's go back, it's too crowded here." The two then go to a less crowded place and start eating. Blossom suddenly says that she doesn't like him either, that he's scary. Sam doesn't understand. He didn't do anything to her. She says he beats people up. He replies that it was necessary. That guy was hitting Matthew. He would have continued if I hadn't done anything. Blossom thinks it over and thanks him for doing that. Sam says she really likes Matthew. She replies yes, that he's nice. Quote, "You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? You're a child." She doesn't understand what he means and gets food in her hair. Sam notices and warns her. She looks and ends up biting her own hair. Sam comments that she really is a child. This embarrasses her. Blossom then starts devouring the hot dog at high speed, stands up, and says, "I'm not a child. You are the bully." Sam hates being called a bully. What he did was necessary. Until recently, she was thanking him for it. Blossom says that people who hit others always end up hitting their own friends. That's not true, he states, saying he did it to help Matthew. Blossom doesn't believe him. For her, just because he's stronger than Matthew, he can go around bossing him around. As Sam is about to respond, a woman appears before them, one of those psychics who almost always appear in animes. She attracts the two, saying that something serious is going to happen to them. The two look at her and can't resist. This, quote, paranormal activity she's going to do will cost $10. She starts the reading. She's going to see the future that awaits the two. She pulls a card, trembling, and sees a beautiful fire, the fire of love. The two are like, "I paid $40 for this?" They lose patience and leave. Sam comments that that fire is more like the fire of war. He feels cheated. He swore she was going to say something about Matthew. Blossom calls him a child. Embarrassed, Sam says he's not as much as she is. Blossom stares and sticks out her tongue. She really is a child. He tries to hold back his laughter. She doesn't quite understand why he's laughing. He says, "You know, you're more talkative than I thought." She gets shy, and Sam continues, "I don't hate you. You're a good person. We're both Matthew's friends, so maybe we can be friends too. What do you think? I'm pretty cool, right?" Blossom replies no. Sam sighs and tells her to hurry up. They'll miss the bus if they delay. Blossom follows him. At Matthew's house, he's dealing with his parents. Both are worried about his face. It's uglier than usual. His mother asks what kind of soccer he's been playing. Matthew tries to calm them down, saying it was just an accident, but they don't believe him. They feel bad for leaving him alone. Matthew asks them to stop. He's all grown up, but deep down, he's only thinking one thing. He wonders if Blossom has anywhere to stay. The scene returns to the two. They are sitting at the bus stop. Sam asks if she's taking the bus to Matthew's house. She takes a while to respond and then says yes. But Sam notices something. The bus arrives. It's precisely the one she was supposedly waiting for. Sam says goodbye, saying he'll see her tomorrow at school, but Blossom stops and doesn't get on the bus. Sam calls out, "Hey Blossom, you have nowhere to go, right?" It's because Matthew's parents are home. Blossom calls him annoying, and the bus leaves. Sam agrees. He really is annoying. He can't help it. It was obvious. He stands up and says, "Let's go to my place." Blossom doesn't respond. The scene cuts to the two already at Sam's house. He peeks to see if anyone is home. It's all empty. The two sneak in. Sam looks around, checking if anyone appears, and tells her to go upstairs. She goes first. Sam follows her and can't resist taking a quick glance at her backside, but he immediately looks away. The two finally enter the room. Sam calls her and comments, your shorts are pretty short today." Blossom looks down and immediately pulls her jacket, trying to cover up. Sam tries to explain, "Hey, it's not like I was looking at them," Blossom retorts. "But you looked at them, stupid." He replies that he really did look. Anyone would look with her dressed like that. Sam grabs some clothes for her and wishes her good night. Blossom asks where he's going. He replies, "Out of the room, obviously. What did you think I was gonna sleep here?" Blossom gets angry and kicks him. Sam didn't expect that. She says, "I only asked because I was regretting it. It's okay, we're friends." Sam leaves the room and Blossom goes to bed. Her phone starts ringing. It's a message from Matthew asking if she found a place to sleep. Blossom gets excited that he asked and starts to reply. She writes that she's at Sam's house, but thinks better of it and changes it to at a friend's house. Still, she would have preferred to be at his house. Matthew is thrilled. Time passes and Blossom ends up falling asleep. Suddenly, someone opens the door. Blossom wakes up startled. Her heart races. Meanwhile, Sam is sleeping on the sofa. He wakes up upon hearing a noise coming from the room where Blossom is. He quickly stands up and runs there. Upon entering, he sees Blossom and a boy playing Jenga. This is Steven, Sam's brother. Sam nervously asks them to speak softer, or they'll end up waking up their parents. Blossom replies that they're not home, as Steven said they went to visit their grandparents. Even so, Sam is angry with his brother. He had promised he wouldn't go into the room. Blossom takes the lead and tells Sam not to point his finger at his brother. Even a baby would get upset with that. Sam didn't expect to receive this lecture. Blossom continues, "You can't just get furious with people. That's called being a bully." This time, Sam lost the argument and remained silent. Without an alternative, he apologized. Blossom then asks Steven if he really promised he wouldn't enter Sam's room. He confirms. Blossom asks him to keep his promises and be a good older brother. "All right then, let's try to keep our promises from now on." The two go back to the game. Sam can't believe what he's seeing. He thought his brother was afraid of strangers, but there he is, having fun. Sam looks at Blossom and blushes. His heart races, and he doesn't understand what's happening. The next morning, Steven says goodbye to Blossom. She and Sam are going to school. Blossom finds Sam's expression strange. He says, "I never thought you could smile like that. That's all. I thought your face was broken or something." Blossom kicks him and tells him to wait for Matthew. Sam says he actually needs to go somewhere and asks if she told Matthew she spent the night at his house. Blossom replies no, that she was going to tell him later. Sam comments that it's better not to tell him. After all, she's still at a guy's house. He might get a little down about it. Blossom agrees, especially coming from you, who likes to look at girls' legs. Sam tells her to stop. He'd already said it wasn't like that, but Blossom doesn't let it go. And in this atmosphere, the two continue on their way. At Matthew's house, he says goodbye to his mother and leaves excited, thinking about seeing Blossom at school. To his delight, as he turns the corner, she's there waiting for him. Blossom smiles and greets him. The boy gets all excited. At school, Blossom gets up to go to the bathroom. Matthew doesn't take his eyes off her and decides to follow her, afraid that they'll do something to her again. She enters the bathroom. Not even Sam can help her in this situation. Some girls are nearby, ready to mess with her again. Matthew can't do anything. In the bathroom, Blossom was already prepared. She pulls out an umbrella and protects herself. The girls think she's getting wet and start laughing. But suddenly, something happens. They stop throwing water. Blossom doesn't understand and goes out to take a look. It was Mia who stopped them. She stares at Blossom and asks, "Hello, Blossom? Do you remember me?" Outside, Matthew hears the noise and wonders what's happening. Suddenly, the girls run out of there, and then Mia comes out, holding on to Blossom, inviting her to go to the cafeteria. Matthew finds the situation strange. He knows Mia is the scariest girl in school. I didn't know she was friends with Blossom. Is that who Blossom stayed with last night? I heard she was a bully. Is everything going to be okay? The two pass Matthew. Blossom looks at him and tells him not to worry. Matthew, as always, gets all excited just knowing she noticed his concern. The scene cuts to the two, who are having lunch together. Mia asks what's wrong, if Blossom wants anything else. She replies that it's not that, just strange that Mia is doing this. After all, it's not like they're friends. Mia agrees that it must be a little strange to see her like this suddenly, and then remembers something that happened at the beginning of the school year when she invited her to karaoke. All the third-year students were also there. To be honest, I was watching you the whole time. I saw that guy who was bothering you too. I wanted to tell him to stop, but I was afraid they'd start intimidating me if I said anything. After that, Blossom pushed the guy away and left. I thought your attitude was incredible, but after that moment, everyone started bad-mouthing Blossom behind her back. I felt very bad about it. It seemed like everything was my fault. And those photos of you that started appearing a few days ago, when I heard what they were saying about you, I couldn't take it anymore. It's so stupid. They're just jealous because you're beautiful, confident, and much more. How can they say that kind of thing about someone they study with? From now on, I won't let them. Blossom says nothing and starts eating. Mia watches for a moment, then says it's better they head to class. Before leaving, Mia asks for Blossom's number to chat and Blossom agrees, giving her number. Mia gets excited. "I'll text you, don't ignore me." In class, Blossom receives Mia's message, inviting her out with friends, no boys. Blossom considers refusing, but before she can say anything, Mia sends another message. "I'll be waiting for you at the school gate. Let's get something tasty." Immediately after, another message arrives, this time from Sam. "Hey Blossom, I have class a little later today, so call me around 10 and I'll meet you." Time passes, the bell rings, and classes end. Blossom texts Matthew, saying she'll see him tomorrow. He looks at her, and she waves. At the exit, Mia is waiting for Blossom and invites her to eat something first. Blossom accepts. "I heard a new burger joint opened in my neighborhood. I can't wait to check it out with you. It was getting a bit boring with just the three of us. Now you're part of it too." Mia looks at her two friends, asks if they're happy too, and yes, of course they are. Then Mia stares at Blossom with a look that suggests she's up to something today. They go to McDonald's. Mia slowly gains Blossom's trust. After eating, they go to a store where Mia asks Blossom about makeup, little by little, winning her over. Mia always makes her friends follow her lead, but one of them doesn't always like it and remains wary of her. The group continues to have fun together. As they walk down the street, Sam crosses paths with them. He sees Blossom very close to Mia and finds it strange. Mia had previously said she didn't know Blossom. As the group walks, Blossom stops and says she's going home. She has to be home by 10. Mia expresses regret, but understands. "Actually, it's my birthday today. We were on our way to my friend's house for my birthday party." Her companion finds this strange. Her birthday was on another date. Mia quickly gives her a threatening look, and the girl goes quiet. "I know you don't like being around strangers, and all my friends will be there, so I guess you won't want to go, right?" Blossom remains silent, lowering her head thoughtfully. Mia says goodbye, thanking her for agreeing to hang out today. At Sam's house, Steven is eager to see Blossom again and asks if she's coming soon. Sam replies he doesn't know, that she was out with her friends. Steven insists and asks him to ask when she's coming. Sam, a little impatient, starts typing, sends a message, and says Steven misses her a lot. The two wait for a response until it arrives. "Sorry, I didn't call today. I'm staying at a friend's house. See you tomorrow." Steven is disappointed, and so is Sam. Returning to the group, Mia is on the phone with someone, saying she's almost there and that she's bringing a friend from school. Quote, "Just wait until you see her, she's very pretty." They finally arrive, and everyone enters. The house is very messy. Blossom looks around and sees cigarettes, drinks, everything out of order. She doesn't like that environment much. Mia asks her to sit down, and Blossom agrees, but first wants to know whose house it is. Mia replies, "It's a friend's," but tells her to make herself at home. Blossom is hesitant, but decides to stay. Mia smiles. Time passes, and they start drinking. Mia asks Blossom if she drinks. She replies no. She really doesn't like alcohol. It might take a while to get used to it. Suddenly, someone rings the doorbell. Mia celebrates their arrival. There are 3 boys, and by their appearance, they don't seem like good people. They ask if they've started yet. Mia asks them to introduce themselves to her friend Blossom. The 3 stare at her. She tries to greet them, but the blonde one gets excited, saying she's very pretty. Mia had already said that before. He approaches Blossom and asks if she has a boyfriend. Blossom doesn't like the situation and tells Mia she's leaving. Mia expresses regret, asking her to stay a little longer. After all, her friends just arrived. The blonde also insists, asking her to stay just 1 more minute, saying it's not like they're gangsters or anything. Mia's other friend has already understood what's about to happen and feels uncomfortable. She goes outside and tries to contact Matthew, but he doesn't answer. Inside, other boys start talking to Blossom, asking if she knows who he is. She replies no. In a threatening tone, he says he doesn't know her either and asks what the hell she's doing in his house. Blossom doesn't know what to say, starts to stand up, and says she's leaving. Crazy guy starts laughing. I was just kidding. He tells her to relax, stay as long as she wants, and asks if she wants a drink. Outside, Matthew finally answers. The girl wastes no time and tells him Blossom is in trouble and will send him the address. Matthew doesn't understand. The girl explains, listen, idiot. There are a bunch of bad guys who are about to do something really bad to Blossom, okay? That's all I know. You take care of the rest. Inside, Mia doesn't take her eyes off Blossom. The blonde tries to approach, offering a drink, but she refuses. The other also insists and even grabs her shoulder. Blossom is startled, but pushes his hand away with a shrug. The bully doesn't like that at all. On the street, Matthew runs desperately towards the location, but has no idea what he'll do when he gets there, so he decides to stop. He knows he's a mess and decides to call his friend Sam. Sam answers and asks him to speak slower. Matthew tells him everything that's happening, hangs up, and starts running again. Sam grabs his bicycle and also heads to the location. Inside, the guy looks at Blossom's legs, touches her leg, and comments that her skin is very beautiful. The bully watches, waiting for her reaction. Blossom then stands up and tells Mia she's leaving. The bully loses patience. Hey, what's your problem? Stop acting like you're so expensive. Blossom says nothing and tries to run away, but he grabs her by the hair, telling her to answer when someone talks to her. Mia observes everything and seems to like the way things are going. The bully tells the blonde to lock the door. Blossom doesn't know what to do. The blonde walks to the door, and just as he's about to grab the lock, he gets hit in the face and flies away. Sam has arrived, somewhat tired from all the cycling. The bully doesn't understand anything. Mia also doesn't know why he's there. The one holding Blossom tells the big guy to go attack. He advances towards Sam and takes a punch to the face. The other crazy guy loses patience and charges, but takes a kick to the stomach, gasps for air, and tries to land a punch, but Sam dodges and knocks him down with a headbutt. Suddenly, the third one kicks Sam from behind. He turns quickly, but loses focus on the other, who tries to hit him with another blow. Sam blocks at the last second and starts trading punches with both at the same time. Meanwhile, Matthew is still running down the street, approaching the location. Now, Sam will have to hold off all 3 alone. Sam manages to hold them for a while, but soon they start to gain the upper hand and begin to beat him. Blossom trembles all over, begging them to stop. Mia grabs one of them and pleads with them to stop, saying they'll end up killing him. The bully just pushes her away and throws her far off. The aggressions continue. Blossom screams again, desperate. Matthew finally appears, grabs a helmet from the table, and knocks down the blonde. The 2 bullies drop their guard, and Sam takes the opportunity to knock down the big guy. Matthew holds the brute, while Sam continues to hit the other. Time passes until the fight finally ends. Now the 3 are outside. Blossom, feeling guilty, apologizes. Matthew reassures her and asks if she's okay. She replies yes. Sam sighs in relief, happy that everyone is safe. In an alley, Mia is desperate. Her plan didn't go as expected. She wonders how and when Blossom managed to call Sam. The short-haired girl also doesn't understand. She never saw her with her cell phone. Mia then remembers the moment. Sam looked at her with contempt. Her hatred for Blossom grows even more. The scene returns to the 3 walking back home. Blossom gets their attention and asks, "Aren't you going to ask how all this happened?" Matthew and Sam remain silent until Matthew replies that he's sure there was a good reason. Blossom thanks him and says he's nice. Matthew gets all excited. Soon they arrive at the path leading to Sam's house. Matthew wishes him well. Suddenly, Blossom calls Matthew and, somewhat undecided, says, "I wanted to tell you that I'm staying at Sam's house." Matthew didn't expect that, and, somewhat awkwardly, replies, "That's great. My parents are leaving tomorrow, and you can come back to my house if you want. See you tomorrow then." They say goodbye, and Matthew goes his way. What is this feeling? When Blossom said she was staying at Sam's house, why did I feel angry at him? Is it because I like her? Returning to the two, Blossom asks Sam if it hurts. He replies no, that he's fine, but looks visibly down. They enter. Sam leaves her in the room and wishes her good night, but before leaving, he reveals he's curious about something and says he has a question. He knew Blossom wasn't that close to Matthew, so he wanted to understand how she ended up living at his house. Noticing her unenthusiastic expression at the question, Sam apologizes and says that if she doesn't want to tell him, it's okay. Blossom decides to tell him. For her, Matthew seemed like a normal person. The way he gathered with his family for dinner seemed so natural, very different from her own family. It was never like that when she was a little girl. Her parents couldn't get along. They were always arguing, especially about jobs. Her mother insisted that her husband find work. Every time they fought, her father would leave the house, leaving her mother alone, drowned in drink. Blossom hated it. She didn't say anything because she was afraid of her mother. She always stayed locked in her room until one day she looked out the window, and that's when she saw Matthew's house. A normal family, something she never had. Over time, her mother got even worse, and eventually her father left forever. Her mother cursed him until the end. When Blossom started elementary school, her mother began bringing strange men home every night, telling Blossom not to leave her room because she couldn't let them know she had a daughter. All Blossom could do was watch Matthew's family and imagine herself living in that house. When she got to high school, she realized she was in the same class as him. That was her last resort. She had no money, nowhere to go. It was her only chance to live a normal life. It was at that moment that she gathered the courage to ask, "Hey Matthew, you're living alone now, right? Can I come to your house tonight?" And that's how Matthew welcomed her, asking nothing in return. Back in the present, Sam thanks Blossom for sharing, knowing it must not have been easy. Blossom comments that Matthew is a very nice person. Sam feels a little down but decides to leave and let her be. He goes to the sofa and reflects, this must have been hard for Blossom. She talks a lot about Matthew. This is strange. I should be happy for them, but why do I feel so frustrated inside? On the way to school, Sam and Blossom end up meeting Matthew. Matthew gets excited but also feels a little uncomfortable seeing the two together. Still, Matthew greets them as always. At school, Matthew isn't paying attention in math class. He can't take his eyes off his favorite blonde. Suddenly, he receives a message and brightens up upon seeing it. That evening, after school, Matthew's parents are ready to leave and ask if he wants to join them. Matthew thinks a little and says he's fine. All his friends are there. His mother gets emotional, seeing her son grown up now. His father tells his wife to go, saying they can leave him alone. He's a man now and can take care of himself. So that's it, they're leaving. When they finally leave, Matthew is relieved. He immediately pulls out his cell phone and calls Blossom. She was already close to his house. The doorbell rings. Matthew, all excited, opens the door and the two greet each other. Blossom asks if he's already had dinner, as she bought some food on the way. Matthew replies no and gets excited to hear she brought food. With dinner ready, they start eating. Everything returned to normal. Everything ended well. The next day at school, Sam managed to get 3 free tickets to the Green Bus Band's concert. Matthew gets excited. He really likes that band. The tickets are only for today, so Sam was thinking of the 3 of them going together, if it's okay for Blossom. Matthew also insists that Blossom go with them, saying the band is very good. She accepts. Sam gets excited. They'll go after school and even be able to take photos with the band. Blossom is also excited. For the first time, she's going out with real friends. Listening to everything, Mia doesn't like their happiness. She pulls out a utility knife, looks at it, and smiles, planning to cause trouble again. After classes, Matthew calls Blossom to go. He's very excited. He still can't believe he's going to see one of his favorite bands. He can barely wait, but his excitement is interrupted when a girl calls him. She tells him the teacher wants to see him. Not understanding, Matthew asks why. Nervous, the girl replies that she doesn't know. With no option, he says goodbye to Blossom, promising to return soon. Blossom watches him leave, thoughtful. On his way, Matthew passes Mia, who stares at him with her cell phone in hand. When they arrive, Matthew asks if the teacher is waiting inside. The girl stops him from entering and nervously asks him to wait, saying she'll talk to the teacher first. He told me to bring him here, so I'd better talk to him before. Just wait here, okay? Matthew agrees, but doesn't understand what's happening. Inside the room, the girl is visibly nervous, her heart pounding. Someone approaches and asks if she's looking for the teacher. Even more nervous, she doesn't know what to answer, apologizes, and runs out. Outside, Matthew asks what the teacher said. The girl replies that he should wait right there. Matthew finds the situation strange. Meanwhile, in front of the classroom, a girl approaches Blossom. She says that Sam asked her to say he'll be waiting outside and that Matthew is with him. Blossom thanks her. From afar, Mia watches the two leaving. Back in the teacher's lounge, Matthew wonders why he's taking so long. Suddenly, Sam appears and asks what he's doing there and where Blossom is. Matthew explains everything and says she's probably waiting for them in front of the classroom. Sam finds it strange. He passed Matthew's classroom and didn't see her there. The two look at each other, confused, while the girl next to them bites her nails nervously. Finally, the teacher arrives. He was in a meeting and asks why they're still there. Matthew is startled. He explains he was there because he heard the teacher wanted to talk to him. The teacher denies it, saying he never said that. Matthew looks at the girl, who's practically nailless from nervousness. She says it wasn't her fault, she was just obeying orders. She only did what she was told. She affirms that she's truly sorry she didn't want to do it, but if she didn't, Mia would kill her instead of Blossom. The confused teacher asks what happened to Blossom. Mia's ex-friend approaches and explains that it's not that girl's fault, Mia forced her to do that. Matthew then asks where Blossom is. The girl says that Mia called her, and she's probably in danger now. The scene cuts to Blossom, who arrives at the agreed location. A girl tells her that Sam is waiting for her in the alley. Blossom finds it strange, but the girl insists, confirms it once more, and then apologizes and runs off. Blossom looks towards the alley and decides to enter. While she's looking for Sam, he and his friend are already there waiting for her. The two are already running desperately after her. In front of the teacher's lounge, the teacher tries to talk to the girl while the other pulls out her cell phone and calls emergency, saying, "I'd like to make a report." In the alley, Mia gets excited seeing Blossom again. Blossom just responds with hi and asks if they saw Sam there. Mia comments that Blossom has been very close to Sam lately and asks why she's so interested in finding him. Blossom explains that he called her, that's why she's there. Mia smiles, somewhat ironically. "I'm starting to get jealous." "Hey Blossom, I heard you were going out with Sam, that seems pretty fun." With an bored expression, Blossom denies it. "What are you talking about? It's true, isn't it? You flirted with him and now you're going out with him, you slut. You've been doing this with adults for years, and now you've decided to try with guys your age? Do you really think that makes you a normal person? You're just trash that sleeps with old men for money." Blossom remains silent. Mia approaches even closer. "You know what, Blossom? You smell like dirty old men." Blossom doesn't care. She just sighs. She's already leaving. After all, she has an appointment with someone, but Mia gets furious, grabs her tightly, and says she's not going anywhere. Blossom asks her to let go. Mia then asks if she knows why she was brought there. "I'm gonna ruin that pretty little face." Meanwhile, the two are still on their way. They finally arrive, enter the alley, and start looking for them. They hear Blossom scream. Mia is on top of her. "What's the problem? Don't feel so special now, do you? I'm sick of seeing you act like you're better than everyone just because of your looks." Blossom says she's crazy. Matthew and Sam shout for her. Mia gets even angrier. Sam tells her to let her go, but she doesn't stop, telling the two to stay away. If they approach, she'll kill her. While Sam tries to calm her down, Matthew doesn't think twice and runs clumsily towards her. Mia tells him to stop, raises the utility knife, and unaimable thing spreads across the place. The police arrive at the scene and apprehend Mia to take her to the police station. Sam is relieved to see that devil being taken away. Suddenly, he hears a cry of pain. It's Matthew, who's being attended to in the ambulance. They're putting a bandage on his eye. Blossom calls Matthew. He looks at her, and the bandage is already on. Blossom says she's sorry, feeling like it's all her fault. Matthew replies that it was nothing, he's totally fine. But Blossom starts crying, knowing it's all her fault, and repeats that she's sorry. Matthew doesn't know what to do. He can't bear to see her crying. He tries to reassure her, saying he's really fine. Sam smiles seeing the two together. Matthew, wanting to prove he's fine, starts to remove the bandage. "Look, I'm totally fine, it doesn't hurt at all." Blossom remains worried about him. Some students around heard everything and saw that Mia is a psychopath and that she tried to hurt Matthew. They comment that it seems she planned everything. She'll certainly be expelled. At the hospital, Matthew is recovering well. He'll be home in no time. This is truly great. Suddenly, Sam appears at the hospital, bringing him food. Seeing Blossom still there, he gets worried that if she stays at the hospital so late, she might end up getting sick. You should rest, I can stay with Matthew for a while. But she refuses, saying she's fine. Matthew, also worried, tries to convince her, I'm really fine, you can go. Before he can finish, another gush of unaimable thing for YouTube comes from his eye. The doctor appears to check and says it will be necessary to stitch it again. They're taking him to the operating room. As he follows his painful path, Matthew says goodbye. It's all good, guys. No need to worry. The two leave the hospital and sit on a bench outside. Sam buys a drink for Blossom. Just being next to her, he blushes. He looks at her, and his heart starts to race. He needs to tell her how he feels, but when he's about to do so, Blossom interrupts and comments that Matthew is a very good person. I always thought I was just grateful for Matthew, but now that I think about it, I think I like Matthew. Sam remains silent for a moment, then agrees that Matthew is indeed a nice guy. He begins to recount how he met him. It was in 6th grade when I moved to another school. I wasn't good at making friends back then, so I ended up being alone. But Matthew was the first person who approached me, and despite my fears, he treated my older brother like a normal person. Thanks to him, I managed to open up more. Since then, I knew I could always count on Matthew to be my friend. So I know exactly why you like him so much, Blossom. Blossom looks at him and agrees. Sometime later, Matthew is discharged from the hospital. The three leave together. Sam says it's better if he goes. He has something to do at home. The two understand and say goodbye. Sam looks back and sees the two smiling, turns, and smiles for them. As they walk back home together, Blossom and Matthew pass by that river. Matthew is happy that everything worked out. Blossom doesn't understand what he means. Matthew replies, well, it's because you weren't hurt, Blossom. Blossom blushes and calls him silly. She walks near the river until Matthew nervously calls her. The boy gathers courage and says, Blossom, the truth is, I like you. The atmosphere becomes tense for a moment. Blossom turns and says she likes him too. Matthew gets all excited. We still have a lot to learn, but it seems spring has finally arrived for us.